Both Uranus and Venus are now in Gemini. Where is Gemini in your birth chart? Let me know in the comments, the house, if you have any planets there. My Venus is in Gemini. It's in my ninth house. And today is my Venus return, actually. I am so excited for this transit. It already feels like a big renewal of our energy. It felt so heavy really this whole year, like especially these last few weeks and months of closing out this major karmic cycle with Uranus ending its transit through Taurus, where it's been since 2019. We did have a small stint of Uranus and Gemini from July of last year to, I believe, September. So we did get a little glimpse of what Uranus and Gemini is going to look like last year, but now we're fully in it. Uranus is not going to go back into Taurus, in any of our lifetimes, mostly. Unless we live to be very old. So, anyways, I am so excited for this renewal. Like I said, I already am feeling it. I'm already sleeping better. I'm already like my energy levels are better. Just very exciting to have Uranus harmonizing with Pluto now in a completely different sign, and the Sun Pluto square that we had for all of last week to be ending and on its way out. This is a big renewal of our energy. This is a big renewal, especially this week, of our mindset, of our how we consume information, how we share ideas, how we relate to one another, how we communicate to one another, how we harbor connection and social dynamics with one another. This is a big time period of forward momentum around these new ways of doing all of that, and a renewal of our mindset as well. Gemini rules the mind. It is ruled by Mercury. And so we have some interesting things happening this week with Mercury as well, leading up to the full moon in Scorpio that we have on Friday. So could be a little bit of an intense emotional week leading up to that, more specifically in our relationships, maybe kind of challenging or producing tension to our sense of self, to how we're building out new cycles with our identity and our sense of self in sovereignty and autonomy, in full independence of ourselves from old past patterns or habits of codependency. So a lot of that is going to be brought to the head this week as we have Libra. The moon will be moving through Libra, which is going to put tension on everything that's in Aries. We also have Mars starting to square Jupiter, although that's going to be a next week thing. Um, we also have Mercury is going to join Chiron around the same time as this full moon in Scorpio we have on Friday. So that is going to be this major kind of amplification, intensification of healing within our mindset related to our sense of self, our identity, and this new chapter around that. And with this new version of ourselves that we're all stepping into and have been doing a lot of healing around for the last 7 years. Like it is all coming to a close right now, as we step into new dynamics and paradigms with relationships as this new version of ourself moving forward. So that's a lot of what we have going on this week. We're going to have Mercury move into Taurus by the end of the week, so grounding a lot of this chaotic energy that has been kind of stirring around with everything in Aries. Things are moving into Taurus, which is going to slow us down a little bit. I just posted a video recently on my TikTok and my Instagram about how, and my YouTube, about how one of the most challenging aspects to have in your birth chart, or placements rather, to have in your birth chart, is when your sun and your Mercury are in different signs. And I think this is so underrated. I don't see enough people like mentioning this or even talking about Mercury in general. Mercury is so important in your birth chart. It is how you relate to each other. Like, it is how you communicate. It is how you get by in the world, like every single day, every moment of every single day. I really learned firsthand when I was traveling through France for 4 months. And I know, like, I speak French, so I really got to learn firsthand how challenging it is to relate to and connect to other people and just get by day to day when you don't speak the language or you're not fully comfortable communicating to the people around you. And there's not like understanding at that level, that mercurial level of understanding. So, anyways, I think one of the most challenging things is when you have your sun in one sign and Mercury in another sign, usually the sign before or after. And we have that. We've had that right now. The sun is in Taurus and Mercury is in Aries. So there's kind of this conflicting energy of, oh, I want to do this and I want to share this and I want to start this and I want to communicate this and I want to blah, 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 blah. But also, and Mars is there too, we want things to happen now. But also, there's kind of this focus and illumination of slowing down a little bit to enjoy life a little bit more than just doing it all right now and forgetting to have pleasure and to enjoy the simple things of life itself. So, yeah, Mercury moving into Taurus will bring some more harmony to that and bring some more embodiments of what we're wanting to do in our lives moving forward related to this new chapter that we've been stepping into. So there's going to be a little bit of more balance with how we're taking action when we're taking action, right? Because speaking as a Taurus myself, we are very hard workers, but we're not going to do that if we're not feeling it, right? We have to enjoy both the rest and the laying on the couch as well as the work when it is time to do things, right? So honoring our flows and the rhythms of life. Can't be all summer all the time, all go, go, go all the time, right? All busy all the time. We need seasons of rest. So, and that's reflected in nature. Is there anything else I want to say? Feeling called to talk more about the full moon. That's really kind of gonna be, it could be a very emotional one, could be a very deep dive into some pattern that we have not yet kind of healed fully or felt the feelings around fully. It feels like with this full moon that we have on Friday, there could be a lot of emotional things coming up for us to really just feel our emotions, not intellectualize or try to understand or whatever, but like actually feeling them at a body level. So that could be a really big thing that comes up with this full moon, especially because we have Mercury on Chiron, like I said, at the same time as this full moon. So it's going to be one of like really clearing out things, not only at a mental level, but at a body energetic level as well. And yeah, alchemizing. You have to feel it to heal it. You have to feel things to alchemize. Feelings are a portal to alchemy, a portal to transformation, and that's one of the lessons of Scorpio. So, and then the moon after the full moon, the next day on Saturday, the full moon will not the full moon, it won't be full anymore, but the moon in Scorpio will harmonize with Jupiter in Cancer, so giving us more energy towards that, more momentum towards that as well, right before Mercury moves into Taurus. And we also have Venus harmonizing with Pluto this whole week as well, so giving us more of that energy of transformation at an embodied level, kind of changing again, like I said at the very beginning, the way that we communicate to ourselves and the way that we communicate to others and just go through life in general is going through a major shift. So that's the overall energy of the week ahead. Is there anything else I want to say? I feel complete. So let's get into the horoscopes. Hi, Aries Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your day to day, your routines, your habits, maybe work, health as well. There's something about that you're maybe organizing or cleaning up or just doing some more like cleanup around in order to kind of prepare for what's ahead for you. So we head into Tuesday, the emotional focus shifts into your relationships. to people, other people in your life, and kind of puts tension these next couple days onto you, and onto what changes you're making within your sense of self and your identity related to you, maybe your appearance, anything like that. Especially Wednesday, there could be this kind of coming to a head moment of this emotional pull towards your relationships that really puts a lot of pressure on you to do something differently about yourself, or could maybe be an emotionally heightened day as well, like just kind of maybe feeling a need to release some anger or anything like that. Could come up as well. And then as we head into Thursday, there's really this sense of you needing to let go of a pattern, a belief system, a cycle that is kind of coming from a wounded part of yourself, or a wounded version of yourself, instead of like this person you've stepped into that doesn't do that anymore, doesn't act that way anymore, doesn't whatever it is, communicate that way anymore. And so there's kind of emotional tension on you to really like face this and step into it in a new way, especially as we lead up to this full moon on Friday. That's going to be in your area of self-worth, resources, vulnerability, kind of illuminating all those things in your life and asking for you to fully alchemize the ways that you've shown up in that area, especially with money. There could be a lot coming up with money, shared resources, debt, taxes, investments, anything like that. You could be getting clarity around. You could feel like this release around something there in order to make space for a new experience of whatever is changing for you about money, or whatever you have changed. It's like this really is kind of sticking in place more so than ever before, and maybe getting more clarity around what to do with it and how to act on it. It's kind of like a culmination of the energy of the change you've been making to that part of your life. As we head into Saturday, the emotional focus is still on your shared resources, your debt, taxes, investments, vulnerability, and intimacy as well. But it's harmonizing with what's expanding about your home or your family, or the way that you take care of yourself in your inner world, and the way that you really like need and have maybe even established these habits that really help you to take better care of yourself than ever before. And it's supporting this change in you, even if it feels like there's maybe a temporary setback around it. Sunday, the emotional focus moves into your higher perspective, your area of perception, the way you're viewing life, your belief system. So there could be some tension on on that area emotionally to change something massively within, again, your belief systems, your mindset, how you communicate. And we also have a focus shifting for you into more communicating to yourself and to others from a place of self-worth and embodiment around this new version of you, right? It's all tied in together. So, um, yeah, begging for kind of a big change as we close out the week. And that is your week ahead, Aries. So let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I will see you next week. Hi, Taurus Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your dating, romance, creative life. There could be something about that area that you're really cleaning up, that you're refining, that you're focused on maybe organizing a little bit more, bringing some change to. There's also now this new cycle beginning for you with change of money, change of finances, change of self-worth, change of values, and really becoming more so embodied and fully integrated in whatever, however that's showing up for you, in a major way. As we head into Tuesday, the emotional focus shifts onto your day to day, your work, health, routines related to that, perhaps. Maybe relationships and how to balance that with what's going on in your mental health and your subconscious that you're massively focused on as well at this time. So there could be this sense in the middle of the week, like how do I balance my physical health with my mental health? How do I balance what is calling me in the day to day with what's going on underneath the surface of things? Because there's a lot of focus on these kind of subconscious patterns, or maybe like spiritual practices and things, and implementing those more so in your life. And so there's a lot of focus this week, especially emotionally, on like, how do I fully balance this? Maybe even how do I balance it when things feel um emotionally tension producing, especially on Wednesday. There's some things about your routine or work or health that are kind of pulling you out of this ability to focus on your subconscious. And again, the evolution comes when you kind of do what you need in order to have balance between these two areas. And this could also massively heal some things, maybe some like repressed anger or repressed emotions, maybe towards relationships, things of that nature, especially on Thursday. It feels like a big kind of clearing out of emotional things as we as we get closer to the full moon we have on Friday. There could be a lot of emotional purging that you experience towards the end of this week, that really is going to help you and support you on this new path and in a major cycle of healing that you've been in for 7 years. Like this is really a further cleaning out of it. So you can have really a whole new start with what you're doing, and how you're doing it and who you are in that cycle and in this new path of your life. So big focus of the full moon is you and your relationships, and how they tie into this new life that you've been building and that you're really more so living than ever before. Saturday, the emotional focus is still on your relationships and people around you. It is harmonizing with your area of communication. So there could be some things that you're just really, I feel like you're feeling more solid in who you are and how you're communicating yourself, not only to yourself and like embodied in a newfound I don't know, version of you and like in and truly in your values and self-worth more so than you ever have been before. And so there's a big expansion, emotional expansion feeling of that, and maybe having supportive people around you as well that really just mirror that to you of like how much growth you've done. That feels really positive and like emotionally healing as we end out the week here. Sunday, the emotional focus shifts into your shared resources. There could be something you're realizing you want to do differently about that area, money to how you're making it, where it's coming from, where you're spending it, debt, taxes, investments. There could be some kind of breakthrough that comes because of emotional tension in those two areas. But I also feel like there's a lot of mental clarity that's coming from that, or at the same time. There's this kind of energy of a mental renewal happening for you as well, Taurus. So that's how we end out your week. Let me know how that resonates with you in the comments, and I will see you next week. Hi, Gemini Rising. What a renewal of your sense of self and identity that we are now embarking on. You might feel like sharing yourself more. You might feel like you're kind of coming out of a fog. And as we start off the week on Monday, the emotional focus is kind of on your home, cleaning up things there, refining things within your home or your inner world. Doing some maybe just, yeah, like clean up, maybe actually purging physical things, because you're like feeling this renewed energy and sense of self and more kind of stepping into this sense of your truth and authenticity more so than ever before at this time as well. Tuesday, the emotional focus shifts into your dating, romance, creative passions, and projects, but it kind of puts tension on what's going on with community or social media or friendships, maybe even your long-term goals and visions. And there's kind of this like tug of war between those two areas. So you're kind of, asking yourself in the middle of the week, like, how do I find balance between my creative pursuits and projects, and like, how does that tie into these long-term goals and visions? And it's kind of like, don't overthink stuff too much. You might also find that spending time around people who inspire you and maybe have already done what you want to do or something like that is going to help kind of bring more clarity to what's going on for you. And it feels like Wednesday, there could be some like emotional aggression between these two areas. You could also, this could be something that you feel called to go for a run for the first time in a while or something, and it really brings some inspired ideas. That's kind of like a healthy expression of this energy, but the emotional focus is putting tension on your ability to take action. And so there's again this kind of tug of war between how do I balance this, or what do I do with this energy? But it's, it's a temporary kind of emotional challenging time, or just a couple hours really, or day, maybe that is it propels you to evolve something that is needed. And there might be like a breakthrough of needing to move more in alignment with your intuition and realizing that even more fully than ever before. Thursday, this is when it could help you to and support you to spend time around people that inspire you or are kind of like the healed version of what you want to do or whatever. As the moon, the emotional focus on your creative projects and passions is putting tension on what wounds community has been bringing up for you or identity wounds around your long-term goals and visions, and kind of like what's going on mentally for you around that, and bringing like, a big illumination to your belief systems as it plays into that, and maybe some like imposter syndrome things that really, need to be cleared out so they don't like run your life. And that leads us to the full moon on Friday in your area of day to day, in your area of work, health, and your kind of routine and schedule around those things. So there could be some illumination of that, and further solidifying in some major changes you've been making to work, money, and career. And it feels like some culmination of energy in a big way around that as well. As we head into the weekend on Saturday, the emotional focus on your day to day, your work, your health is also harmonizing with what's going on in money. So there could be some kind of, because of this full moon or after this full moon, like big inspiration and creative ideas kind of flowing of how to move forward. There's more cohesive energy of what you're doing and how you're doing it creatively, or as it relates to money. And again, this major change that's happening with you and your perception of life and reality, and kind of seeing things from a higher spiritual perspective, maybe more so than ever before. Sunday, the emotional focus shifts into your relationships, other people. So there could be a focus on that. Maybe like going out or having fun with people this weekend could really support you in a lot of ways. But there's some sort of something around that that kind of puts tension on these changes that you're experiencing in your sense of self. And maybe again gives you more clarity on how to bring all these areas that are going through so much change into balance. So that is your week ahead, Gemini. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Cancer Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your day to day, who you're talking to, where you're going on a daily basis, your communication, maybe internal communication as well as external communication. There's some big cleanup you're doing, some big like just renewal, emotionally, of what's going on in your kind of mindset with things and your perspective of life, and the belief systems and communication things in your mindset and mental space that are playing into all of that as well. So there's a big kind of just like refinement, wrapping up, happening in that area. Tuesday, the emotional focus shifts into your home, your family. So there is kind of this emotional focus on your inner world, your home, your family, but it puts tension on what's going on with career. So there might be this sense of like you're really busy with career or you're really busy with work, but also you need to take time out to, I don't know, revamp your space or look at these maybe kind of inner wounds or inner things that are coming up, and like also have some time for yourself, and not give all of your energy to what's going on with career, and maybe spending time with people that nourish you at home as well, because that's really where the middle of the week your major emotional focus is, and it's putting attention on what's going on with career. So that might be a way to balance it is not giving full weight to one area or the other. whatever that balance looks like for you. Especially Wednesday, the emotional focus on your home and family is putting tension on what you're doing with career, how you're acting in career, what you're maybe starting or wanting to start with in career. And there's a lot of kind of emotionally mental stuff coming up as well. Like maybe I don't know, being faced with these maybe imposter syndrome or like, am I good enough to do this or move in this direction? Or like, what am I actually doing? There's a lot of kind of maybe self-doubt coming in. And again, it's like, okay, look at what inside of yourself is perpetuating that or wanting to cling on to that belief instead of like viewing it differently, right? And seeing, healing the mental communication belief system based wounds that this energy is showing you on Thursday. As we head into Friday, full moon in Scorpio is in your area of creative passions, dating, romance, projects, creative projects, creative pursuits, things of that nature. So there could be some culmination of something there for you to really like let go of emotionally as it relates to that area of your life. Feels like this big kind of emotional blow up is the word I'm getting. I don't know. There could be this big release of something that you expected to be different than what it turned out to be. And so you're no, you're being called to release that emotionally and get back to joy and get back to what you love to do for the sake of doing it. Like what is a true obsession and passion for you? Getting back into that as opposed to things that energetically and emotionally exhaust you, right? Is the major focus with that full moon. Saturday, the emotional focus on your area of creativity is harmonizing with the way that you are expanding right now and have been for the past year or so, and kind of really like being seen maybe more so than you ever have before. And there's a lot of like creative inspiration that comes emotionally after this full moon of like whatever you cleared out, it created space for you to be more aligned with what you're doing creatively, and that just feels good to you and is more aligned with this new chapter and path that we're all stepping into, but especially you with what's going on in career. As we end out the week on Sunday, the emotional focus shifts into your area of day-to-day work, routines, physical health. It puts tension on the changes that are happening at a subconscious level for you as well, and where, there's a big kind of focus on your inner world. Again, it's like how to balance both what you're doing for work, or taking more care of your health and bringing those things into more balance and having maybe a structure or a schedule that benefits you as it relates to that. And like mental health, like not forsaking one for the other. Eh, Again, big focus on and getting clarity around how to balance out what's going on in your external world with what's happening as well underneath the surface in your inner world. So that is your week ahead, Cancer. Let me know how that resonates for you in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Leo Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your money, possessions, resources. There's a big kind of cleanup that's solidifying there, maybe refining something about how you take care of your money or finances, or like responsibility with all of that. Could even be possessions, food, clearing out stuff, or refining stuff. Maybe like cleaning your fridge. Um, very specific for some of y'all out there, is kind of the energy as we start out the week. As we head into Tuesday, the emotional focus shifts into your day to day, where you're going, who you're talking to, as well as like your inner communication, and your outer communication, maybe how you're sharing ideas, information is kind of a big focus. Maybe within relationships too. Maybe there's a lot of talk with people or about people, that's kind of putting tension on what's a big focus of this higher perspective you've been stepping into, this perception healing that has been a major focus as well. So there could be this like I don't know, fog around both those areas of your life, and maybe even like your belief systems and patterns and habits that have been playing out, that you've been working on changing. It's a huge focus in the middle of the week, especially Wednesday. There's something about your focus on your communication and day to day that's putting tension on how you're taking action or showing up or stepping up into a new higher perspective of life as a whole. And like again, kind of being dedicated to this new direction and this new perception and seeing life differently, and maybe even incorporating some spiritual practices. But there, it feels like in the middle of the week, you're just so busy too with like other stuff that it kind of, again, puts tension on that. So don't forget your things that help you, like gratitude or yoga or meditation or nature walks, like whatever it is. Don't forget what helps you to kind of have a higher perspective and let yourself get caught up in the kind of messy of the day to day is the energy. Thursday, there's something about your mindset that's really shifting, that's really healing from that, and that you're learning how to come more into balance. Could be as simple as like you learning to talk to yourself more encouragingly. Like you're such a light for other people, and so this time is really showing you how to be that for yourself as well. Like treating yourself as if you were your own parent or you were your own best friend. Like, how would you talk to yourself? How would you walk yourself or advise yourself through these hardships or through tension when it comes up? So that is a major focus as we get really right up into this full moon on Friday that's happening in your area of home, family, your inner world, related to what's going on in career and with work. There's also at the same time a really solidifying in of some mental healing of again this kind of mental communication patterns coming to a close that just were from a wounded place and you stepping into this new healed sense of self with how you talk to yourself, how you communicate your ideas, and share information not only like within your head but to the external world. So there's a big culmination of that. Maybe some emotional things to release from home or from childhood, from family, at the same time as the full moon as well to create space for this new integration and embodiment of what you're doing and how you're doing it. Saturday, the emotional focus on your home and family harmonizes with what's expanding about your subconscious and your mental health focus. So, again, there could be this solidifying in of some like healing that happens emotionally for you. You might need to take some time like off tech and like in doing something that really nourishes you or feels creative or inspiring for you, instead of like doom scrolling or reading hate comments or whatever it is, right? Like taking some time away from the noise of the external world to give to yourself in your internal world and make sure there's a solid foundation there moving forward. As we head out of the week, and get into Sunday, the emotional focus shifts into your creative area. So there could be some creative ideas or inspiration flowing, maybe related to community or who you're spending time around or social encounters that you have towards the end of the week as well. Kind of this renewal of your creative energy and what you're doing and how you're sharing yourself to the world. It feels like really solidifies at the end of the week. So that is your week ahead, Leo. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I will see you next week. Hi, Virgo Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on you. There's some major kind of emotional cleanup you're doing to your appearance, your identity, your sense of self, maybe mentally, as well, and maybe related to shared resources, maybe related to like kind of an inner vulnerability or inner intimacy with yourself that's clearing out these old kind of maybe psychic patterns or loops or mindsets, belief systems are majorly clearing out at the start of the week. There's a big focus on refining you related to like your inner world, doing a further cleanup. As we head into Tuesday, the emotional focus shifts onto your money, possessions, resources. You could literally be getting rid of stuff and doing this kind of renewal of what you own and what you have. Could also apply to money, finances, cleaning up things, like really getting strict or just being more strict about your budget, what you're spending, where it's going, how much you're spending on certain things, really tracking it or just paying more attention to it. And that could maybe come from a place of tension between shared resources, especially if you live with someone or you like do share resources with someone. It could come from like this outer external place of like, okay, there needs to be more, again, a cleanup. There needs to be more organization here. There needs to be more awareness, and it could be a relational thing as well. Especially Wednesday. There's a lot of like you might actually do it on Wednesday and like feel the kind of pressure or pull to do it in a major way, maybe through a connection or conversation, even maybe with someone else in your life. Could come at the advice of a friend or help from a friend or community member or something like that too. But again, there's a lot of focus on like making things kind of cleaner in your area of finances. Could apply to, again, psychic loops that you maybe have been in without realizing, or self-worth themes as well. Kind of supporting you towards what's going to come up around the time of the full moon. Um, but before we get into the full moon, on Thursday, there is a sense of really needing to like mentally clean up as well as your physical habits, like what's going on with money, what's going on with resources. Again, also what's going on with your belief systems around all of that, and maybe just doing a further kind of deep dive or clean up as it relates to that. And then when we do have the full moon, it's kind of like, okay, I've dealt with that. I've released what I need to release around it. And it's like you call in a new pattern or you call in majorly a new belief system with resources, money, values, your self-worth, possessions, food, maybe even two. There's kind of this sense of like a culmination of that energy that maybe you set intentions around having some sort of change with 6 months ago at the Scorpio new moon. And it could be as simple as like you asked for to see something differently, you asked for a different belief system and like you're shown it. Maybe again through a community member, through a friend, through a relationship, through social media, there's some sort of like inspiration that comes because you cleared space to make way for this new integration of like a mindset, a belief system, and a pattern around how you deal with resources, and how you bring magic and alchemy into it. So that's a big focus of the full moon for you on Friday. Saturday, there's a lot of emotional harmony between what's going on with your belief systems, your communication patterns, and what's going on with your community, long-term goals, visions. Like there's a lot of momentum and kind of fast, probably change happening all of a sudden with your career. And so you kind of have to lean on your community members for support as well. And maybe delegate some stuff or raise your prices around something like that, in order to kind of not be swept up in the busyness and still be like fairly compensated and still be doing well for what you're like, how do I say, receiving more than enough for what you're outputting. And again, it was probably all tied into that belief system that you were clearing leading up to this earlier in the week. As we head into Sunday, the emotional focus shifts onto your home and family. There might be some focus on that kind of puts tension on what's going on with career, but again, it's kind of like, okay, how do I balance all of these changes? How do I bring more harmony to this? And there could also be, because of that, this new higher perspective solidifying in about life in general and related to this belief system change and work that you have been doing and integrating. So that is your week ahead, Virgo. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I will see you next week. Hi, Libra Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your inner world, your subconscious, what's going on underneath the surface of things. There could be things around that you're really gaining clarity on what needs a cleanup, what needs refinement within your inner world or within your mindset. Maybe related to relationships, how you relate to other people or what other people you have around you, that kind of thing as well. Tuesday, there is a sense of emotional renewal, as the emotional focus shifts onto you, your sense of self, your identity, your appearance, but it kind of puts tension on what's going on with relationships, as well. Like at the same time, there's this push and pull, like there's a big emotional focus on you and your identity and your appearance, but it also kind of puts a little tension on what's going on with relationships or forward momentum that's been happening with other people in your life and relationships as a whole. Especially Wednesday, there is maybe something that feels really maybe aggressively like tension, like emotional tension, There could be this kind of maybe altercation that happens, where you really have to like stand up for yourself, or you really have to like be solid in your sense of self and not maybe get swept up by emotions. With whatever happens, there's kind of this need for you to kind of approach it with like embodied bravery and courage, and not letting things kind of I don't know, slip out of your control. And then as we head into Thursday, there's something about that that maybe brings a sense of healing, in terms of your mindset with relationships, or this old version of yourself of how you would have approached relationships in the past that has been really clearing out majorly and getting a lot of healing, and a whole new identity around the past 7 years. You've been stepping into this new version of yourself and how you approach relationships and how you stand up for yourself with other people. And so there's something that solidifies on Thursday around that that feels really emotionally healing. And at the same time, it might as well kind of put this emphasis on you to change what's going on with values, how you're again like really living your self-worth and values and standing up for yourself in ways that maybe past you would not have. And there might be some sort of conversation you have to have with a relationship or with someone in your life around that. That kind of happens on Thursday as well. But again, maybe shows you big time that you have done this healing, that you have really stepped into a new sense of self and version of you and how you handle and approach these things, or handle and approach confrontation when it comes up. Later on Thursday, there's this kind of shift in your emotional focus and into your possessions, money, finances, resources, self-worth as well. And it puts a little bit of conflict on what's going on with creative pursuits or passions. So there might be a sense of like, oh, I need to do this, or I want to do this, but the money's not there, or I need to change something about how I handle the money or the finances or possessions. Could kind of, you could be like inspired to get rid of stuff or sell stuff, maybe leading up to this full moon that we have in your area of money on Friday. There's this sense of kind of renewal with your resources, with your finances, and maybe some creative ideas that come about in terms of how to do that and move forward with this area of your life differently. It's kind of been, you planted seeds around this 6 months ago, and it's kind of been growing into fruition since then. And with this full moon, it really culminates. So there might be something emotionally too around money or finances that comes up for you to release in order to have room to bring in the new thing. As we head into Saturday, the emotional focus on your money and resources harmonizes with what's expanding within your career. So things could be feeling a lot more streamlined with what you're doing for money, or you could be getting a lot more ideas about what to do for money that's different than what you've done before, or stepping into this new thing, kind of being known for something different and really feeling like the momentum to do it or take steps towards it, put it into motion. And there's a lot of mental focus as we end out the week as well, shifting into your shared resources, investments, taxes, debt, and kind of what you're doing about that area of your life, and seeing things a lot differently than you ever have before, and that kind of trickling out into these other parts of your life, especially on Sunday, as the emotional focus is going to be on your belief systems, your perspective of life, and puts tension a little bit on how you're viewing the world around you and your higher perspective of what's happening, and how you're navigating all of it and these changes that you're stepping into. So that is your week ahead, Libra. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I will see you next week. Hi, Scorpio Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your long-term goals, visions, community. There's maybe some cleanup you're doing there, maybe getting more clarity on how you want to approach your life long term and what that's going to look like, kind of refining your community, your goals, your vision, maybe social media things as well. As we head into Tuesday, the emotional focus shifts into your subconscious, your inner world, and puts tension on what's changing about your work or your day-to-day routine, your schedule, your health, physical health, as well as mental health. So there's a need for you to really emotionally look at what's going on with mental health in order to be able to balance these two areas of your life, like physical health and mental health, work, and like what you do to nourish yourself or your soul, your spiritual practice that you have, or maybe need to get more disciplined with having in your life to really support and nourish your inner world. There's a huge focus on that in the middle of the week, especially on Wednesday. There could be something that happens with work or happens with health or in your physical kind of day to day that feels a little bit emotionally challenging. And again, it's like calling for you to have some sort of higher perspective with everything, and to shift the way that you're viewing things related to the belief system that's behind the way that you view the world, right? Because we all see from our perspective, and so there's a lot of focus on shifting something there majorly Wednesday and Thursday in order to not view your world from the past version of you that was unhealed, that was easily triggered or wounded, right? And so there's a big focus on solidifying in this new healed version of yourself that handles things differently from a belief system place because you believe differently about yourself and your life and what you're capable of and what you're doing. Later on Thursday, the emotional focus shifts into you. There's a sense of emotional renewal. There might be a lot of intense emotions for you to look at and feel this week as well, as we get closer to the full moon that is on Friday in your area of you, connected to your area of relationships. There could be some big culmination of you related to relationships in these two kind of parts of your life. And again, maybe a big emotional release that comes about in order to have space for something different and new in your life and really embracing your power of alchemy and stepping into more so this new sense of you that is embodied in what you're capable of and your power and your magic more so than ever before. So that's kind of what comes up with this full moon. And as we get into the weekend on Saturday, the emotional focus on you harmonizes with your higher perspective. So there might be a new belief system related to all of this change and healing that solidifies in as we end out the week. And then at the end of the week on Sunday, the emotional focus shifts onto your money, finances. There could be some major change with money related to what's going on with shared resources, investments, debt, taxes. There could be some sort of like miracle that comes about because of the way you're viewing life differently, right? It all comes down to your belief systems and your perspective. And you have the power of alchemy to shift things and shift them really quickly. So there could be something that kind of suddenly changes about your financial picture, maybe related to a relationship or from someone in your life that supports this in some way as well. But that's kind of how you end out the week, Scorpio. So let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I will see you next week. Hi, Sagittarius Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your career, your reputation, your image. So there could be something about that that you're refining, that you're cleaning up a little bit, and just kind of putting energy into in order to like make some needed refinements or changes at the start of the week. As we head into Tuesday, the emotional focus shifts onto your community, friendships, long-term goals, visions, and how relationships tie into that. It kind of puts tension on what's going on with dating or romance or creativity, creative passions or projects, and what you're really stepping into as it relates to that, and like doing a lot of work and healing around. There's a lot of momentum in your area of creative passions and pursuits, as well as dating and romance. But there could be something about community or long-term goals, visions, maybe even tech or social media that kind of puts tension on what's going on with that area. Like, kind of like, how do I balance these two things? Um, Especially on Wednesday, there could be something really emotionally aggressive that comes up around dating or romance, or creative passions. There could be like something you really feel inspired to do, but something else is like pulling you emotionally to like community or something. And so it's kind of like, okay, how do I balance these two things? Um, and I feel like you're gonna have supportive people to help, and it's kind of important you give more weight to the supportive people than people that feel less supportive or not supportive at all and kind of drain you or pull your energy from things that you want to be focusing on at this time. There could be something on Thursday about that you have to have a conversation with someone around that kind of heals you, kind of heals this wounded version of yourself and how it's approached dating or romance or um, passions, creative projects, or anything like that as well. And that gears us up to the full moon we have on Friday in Scorpio in your area of the subconscious, the inner world. There's a big focus on major shifts there. Something kind of clicks into place emotionally in your inner world that is this healing purge, maybe a a purge of emotions, maybe through your dreams or something as well, Friday. But it really creates space for you to have a new relationship with everything in your life related to like your inner foundations, your inner energetics and emotional health and nervous system. Later on Friday and into Saturday, I almost just spilled my whole thing of water. It's kind of like if you don't feel the feelings, they'll come up in a really chaotic way that's not fun to deal with. But there could be a lot of, as we get into the weekend, a lot of emotional support around feeling your feelings uh, and maybe crying it out or punching some pillows or something. Saturday, the emotional focus shifts into your area of you. This is really more of a Sunday thing, though. Saturday feels like a day of emotional healing and kind of, I don't know, clearing out a lot of emotional stuff. Sunday, there's a sense of emotional renewal from that, and that also puts tension on what's changing about relationships. There might be some big shift that happens within a relationship or relationships in general. And on Sunday, it kind of puts tension on what's going on with you emotionally. And again, there's a sense of, okay, how do I balance this? And moving forward into next week, a lot of mental stimulation and work and physical health as well. So that's your week ahead, Sagittarius. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Capricorn Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your perspective, belief systems, spiritual things, higher spiritual lens of the world. There could be something around that at the first of the week that you're clearing out, that you're refining, that you're making adjustments to, maybe related to home, family, belief systems, things like that, that were maybe kind of passed on to you. As we head into Tuesday, the emotional focus shifts into your career, your image, your reputation, but it puts tension on what's going on with home or family or your ability to focus on your inner world and kind of move forward with that area. There's a big emotional pull towards career, but it could, like I said, put tension on what's going on with home, your inner world, or with family, and kind of maybe propels you to do some things differently in both those areas of your life in order to come into a greater sense of balance with your home and also with your career. Maybe some boundaries are needed. Something. Especially Thursday, it feels like there might have to be some conversations that you have with home or family, or maybe with yourself around like how you talk to yourself or the way that you've treated yourself in the past, and kind of, maybe instead of feeling things that come up or like looking at triggers or wounds, there's this sense of like, I'm just going to put it into work. I'm just going to like shove it away under the rug and forget about it. And there's a sense of like a need to look at that and talk it out with someone or feel it, journal it so like it brings up the feeling so you really like feel what's in there somatically. There's a lot of focus on that on Thursday and not kind of distracting yourself with the external world. Which leads us into the full moon on Friday. There could be something that's emotionally pulling you towards community, long-term goals or visions that feels challenging with money. There could be something you want to do long term or support your vision or support some community thing that you want to do or step into, and there's conflict with money or possessions or finances, but it's kind of like remember the magical existence that we live in, the magical nature of life, that anything is possible, and when we believe that it is, and when we like train ourselves to see the magic of life, right? Like, what is that saying? That thing from the Bible that's like, oh, you can't enter heaven unless you're like the innocence of a child. I don't remember. But it's like that's kind of what we need to bring into adulthood a lot more than we do and that we're taught to in our society is like the childlike essence and spirit, right, of joy and creativity. And so there's a lot coming up for you at the end of the week with this full moon, around that and around this outlet of when things feel challenging or conflicting, like what brings you joy? What makes you feel like a little kid again? Like what is really fun for you to do in your everyday life? And that's just going to bring things to you that you could not have predicted or planned for, right? Like me with this business, I could not have predicted or planned for this would turn into what it has turned into. I was just following my joy. And that's a big, big energy for you at this full moon on Friday. As we head into Saturday, there's emotional harmony between what's going on with people in your life and relationships, and kind of like, again, energy for magic and miracles through your community, through people around you. When you just kind of surrender the control or surrender the how and just let things happen how they're meant to. And as we end out the week, the emotional focus shifts into your inner world, your subconscious, and kind of looking at these deeper things going on underneath the surface, these patterns, these belief systems, that maybe were contributing to viewing life a certain way that wasn't serving you. So there's a need for you to do maybe a cleanup around it, and just kind of restructure your beliefs to look at life differently and to have a different experience with life. So that's is your week ahead, Capricorn. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I will see you next week. Hi, Aquarius Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your shared resources, debt, taxes, investments, vulnerability, and intimacy. There could be something majorly you're refining about that area, that you're cleaning up, that you're kind of just like restructuring in ways that are needed to move forward with all of this change that's been building and occurring for you in real time at the moment. Tuesday, the emotional focus shifts onto your perspective. There could be a burst of creative inspiration, but there could also be this feeling of like not, I don't know, not remembering things. Like you're really living more fully present, and it's kind of a little bit jarring to the brain of like, oh, I like can't remember what I ate for breakfast, but I feel so like in the moment and like creatively inspired, and there's juices flowing and things going and like, but also wait, I can't get a grip on reality in a lot of ways, and it's kind of just like live presently, surrender to the moment, and allow yourself to like channel or do or create what is coming through for you at the moment. It's kind of shifting your whole perception of the world and reality, and it might also be on Wednesday putting some emotional tension on what you do, how you do what you do, um, and how you communicate these belief systems and patterns that are kind of behind all of that. Maybe even how you communicate to yourself, as well as others, and share ideas and information with the world around you. It could really, um, yeah, put tension on your beliefs, put tension on your perception of the world around you, maybe, especially Thursday, because it's like there's emotional tension between your higher perspective of life and your worldview, and like your inner kind of like belief systems or communication patterns or themes, like where you go on a daily basis and who you talk to, as well as kind of like these two areas of like having a higher perspective as well as like this day-to-day perspective. It's like there's tension. So how do you come into balance? And again, I feel like the message is just live presently and allow what's coming up to come up, and not shun it for being what it is and for how you're experiencing life, because you're going through so much transformation, and that's going to be a thing that happens. That leads us to the full moon on Friday. We have in your career, there could be something big manifesting in your career or culminating in your career at this time that maybe has been building for the last 6 months. That could kind of propel you to have an emotional cleanse or release, as well, and maybe kind of stepping into a new version of yourself related to like the what's changed about your values, your worthiness, how you view yourself as capable for what you do, et cetera, et cetera. Like there's this big culmination in your career related to worth and your power. As we head into Saturday, there's a lot of emotional harmony between what's going on with career and your focus on that area, as well as what's expanding with work, what's expanding within your physical health too. There might be some new opportunity or something that you get that is way better for you, as well as it is like better for what you're doing and what you're creating, and like again, your creative inspiration. It's just like a better fit for everything moving forward that kind of comes in at the end of the week. And on Sunday, the emotional focus shifts from your career into your long-term goals and visions. There could be something you're seeing differently about that, about your community, your long-term goals, vision, social media, that's maybe putting tension on your creative, what's changing about your creative passions or projects or dating, romance, and it's kind of like, okay, what do I do to balance all of this? And things are changing really quickly, and how do I stay grounded through it all? And so there's also a big focus on like having your practices that help you to ground and not get caught up in the chaos of the change. So that is your week ahead, Aquarius. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Pisces Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your relationships. There's something about that is being refined, that is getting a little bit of a cleanup, a reorganization. Maybe how you connect with others, approach others, or a relationship itself is going through a kind of shift. As we head into Tuesday, the emotional focus shifts onto your shared resources, debt, taxes, investments, vulnerability, intimacy as well. It kind of puts a little tension on what's going on with your own resources, your own money, possessions. There could be a need for you to clear out stuff or renew your actual possessions, sell stuff, get rid of stuff, like kind of just go through things and excuse me, make some needed changes to what you have and what you own. Um, and there's some energetic renewal that's coming from that as well. Especially Wednesday, there could be a lot of like pressure on you to take action on something with money, maybe emotionally from a relationship or from someone you share resources with or something like that. That kind of like puts tension on you to make some changes to your money, or maybe someone that inspires you to kind of clean up finances or clean up possessions. As we head into Thursday, that emotional tension is kind of on wounds around money, especially as it relates to belief systems around money and possessions, resources that come from this old version of yourself that you've stepped out of, and it's kind of this reminder that you're not that person anymore, and maybe for further cleanup of an old version of you's mindset with money. That leads us into the full moon. In your area of belief systems on Friday in Scorpio. Um, there's some big like perception change around money and resources value that's majorly solidifying in at this time that maybe has been building for the last 6 months or so, and it's kind of like you're more fully stepping into embodiment around it at the time of this full moon. Although there might be some emotions to clear out, there might be some things to feel and look at within your subconscious around that, to let go of and like feel the feelings in order to release and alchemize that energy and fully step into what this is bringing in for you at this time. Saturday, the emotional focus on your higher perspective, your worldview, your belief systems is harmonizing with your area of creative passions, of dating and romance. So there could be this creative inspiration that comes about after this full moon, ideas flowing or things to do that bring in money in new ways or something like that. That maybe kind of, again, challenges the way you viewed your world, or what you viewed of as possible in your life, is massively healing. Sunday, we end out the week, and the emotional focus shifts into your area of career, puts tension on what's going on with home or changes you're making to home. So there's this sense of, okay, how do I balance what's going on with home and family as well as what's going on with career, what I pulled to in career. There's kind of this sense of busyness all of a sudden as well with work and career and money. So yeah, that's how we end out your week, Pisces. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I'll see you next week. All right, next week, we have the moon in Sagittarius. It will be opposites Uranus and Gemini. It will be opposite Venus and Gemini. It will be harmonizing with everything in Aries. There's a lot of like, okay, here we go. Like, hope you were ready. Hope you've been resting and we're prepared for how fiery and quickly things are moving. But we're also very grounded in what we're doing. We're also very more so embodied in everything as well. Now that Mercury is in Taurus, the sun is halfway through Taurus at the same time. And the start of the week, the moon's going to be in Sagittarius, and our focus is on fast forward momentum. At the same time, Mars is challenging Jupiter. So this is kind of like a final look at what was coming up from September of last year to February of this year, in terms of like wounds, identity wounds, things for you to look at in terms of how you take care of yourself, how you nurture yourself in ways that are needed, that you've really solidified in since the beginning of this year. And kind of further what you're doing to take action from that place of, okay, this is how I know to support and take care of myself now. Like, okay, what do we do from here? There's a sense of as well, like action being healing. Um, and we're kind of more so expanded in our roots and our foundation than ever before. So things don't rock us as much as they used to because we're like, we're like the roots of a tree. We're more grounded. Um, in what we have needed for nourishment. Also, a lot of mindset shifts coming about as well next week because we have Mercury squaring Pluto at the same time as Mars squaring Jupiter. So it's a lot of like forward momentum, change, transformation. Um, Kind of an intense week, honestly. And we have the moon moving into Capricorn Tuesday, Wednesday. That's challenging, all that's in Aries, so that could be a little bit feisty. A little bit feisty as well, but it is harmonized with everything that's in Taurus. So it's like, as much as there is this like challenge, conflict in ways we didn't expect, there's also this, we're grounded in what we're doing, and structurally it is good for us to be moving in this direction, even if certain ways it feels challenging. It's kind of the energy, and then we also have Pluto going retrograde. So it's kind of the energy of like what we're doing is so new, it's uncomfortable, and there's that kind of like, okay, how do I navigate this? Like I've never done it before, whatever, whatever. But it's like we know it's the right thing to do. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the energy that next week is giving. It's like it's uncomfortable because we're new at it, and it's like we're learning to walk for the first time, and that's a shitty process. Like, but we did it, and now we do it every single day, and it's like no problem. We don't even think about it. So that's kind of this energy, and then we have the end of the week next week, the moon moving into Aquarius. There could also be some intense healing stuff that comes up Thursday. But on Friday, the moon moves into Aquarius. It moves over Pluto, so there's a sense of emotional transformation. Um, as Mars gets close to Chiron, but that'll be a next week thing. Then we're gonna have what would that be? The third quarter moon in Aquarius. So what are you doing? Again, like how are you taking action to move yourself forward now that our energy has changed? It's like what can you do that is going to be consistent, that is going to be sustainable for you moving forward, even as our energy maybe continues to ebb and flow. Um, there's a big focus on not doing too much to burn yourself out, like having balance with it, and however that looks for you, whatever that means for you. Um, so yeah, that's next week. As always, let me know how your horoscope resonated with you in the comments, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.